The Galactic Peace Summit was one of the greatest gatherings in the history of the stars. It was held on GalacticPrime, a planet covered in silver towers and glass domes that reflected the light of two suns. The air shimmered with colors that changed every hour, and the skies were filled with ships from hundreds of civilizations. Every race had come here for one reason: to end the rising conflict that threatened to consume the galaxy. The Hall of Peace was enormous, large enough to hold thousands of delegates. The walls glowed with blue light, and at the center stood a circular table made of living crystal. Around it sat leaders from every major species: the tall Saraxi covered in soft feathers, the scaled Thal with golden eyes, the plant-like Velen who spoke through glowing pollen, and many others. Every voice, every culture, was represented there, and then at last, the humans arrived. They came quietly, walking in calm formation, wearing sleek silver uniforms marked with a single emblem, a blue sphere with a white star at its heart. The human delegation was led by Ambassador Alara Wynn, a woman known for her patience and wisdom. Her eyes were calm, her tone steady, but her presence carried a quiet power. The other delegates turned their heads as she passed, some with respect, some with disbelief. Humans were still considered a young race among the stars. Barely 300 years had passed since they joined the Galactic Union. Yet in that short time, they had built colonies across 12 sectors and contributed more to science and medicine than many ancient races had done in millennia. Some called them brilliant, others called them dangerous, but no one could ignore them. As the meeting began, the hall buzzed with endless discussion. Each delegate argued about territory, resources, or control. The Saraxi demanded new trade routes. The Thal refused to share their technology. The Velen spoke of peace but refused to disarm their fleets. Voices overlapped, growing louder and louder until the air seemed to shake. The humans, however, stayed silent. Ambassador Wynn sat with her hands folded, her face calm. Her team listened, taking notes, whispering softly among themselves. They didn't interrupt even when others insulted them or dismissed their proposals. The humans had learned patience in a galaxy that often treated them as outsiders. After long hours, the Grand Speaker of the Council, a massive being made of shimmering gas, finally turned toward Alara Wynn. "Representative of Earth," it said in a voice that echoed like thunder, "you have been silent. What does your kind wish to say?" Alara stood up slowly. Her reflection shimmered on the crystal floor. Around her, hundreds of alien eyes watched in silence. She looked around the hall, at the faces of creatures from across the stars, each filled with pride and fear. Then she spoke, her voice steady and clear. "Peace," she said softly, "is not a word we use lightly. We humans have known war. We have known loss. We have also known how to forgive, how to rebuild, and how to hope again. We came here believing that peace was possible. But peace cannot be built on greed. It cannot survive on fear. If peace means surrendering what makes us human, our freedom to think, to choose, to protect, then peace has no meaning at all." For a brief moment, the entire chamber was silent. Then a sound broke the stillness: laughter. It came from the Thal delegate, whose golden scales gleamed under the lights. "Typical human talk," he said, his tone mocking. "Always full of emotions. You speak of hope, yet your worlds are small, your armies few. You cannot teach the old races about peace." Another delegate joined in. "They dream too much," said a tall Saraxi, spreading his wings. "The galaxy is not a dream, human. It is a game of power." Alara did not respond. She simply closed her folder, her face expressionless. Behind her, the other human envoys rose to their feet. The entire human delegation stood quietly, without anger, without a word of protest. The Grand Speaker's light dimmed. "Ambassador Wynn," it said, "does this mean the humans withdraw from the peace process?" Alara looked up at the glowing figure. "No," she said calmly. "It means the peace process has withdrawn from us." And with that, she turned and walked away. The sound of her footsteps echoed through the vast chamber. Every human followed her, their movements silent and precise. No one stopped them. No one dared. The doors slid open and the humans stepped into the shining corridors of GalacticPrime. Outside, their transport ships were waiting, engines humming softly. As they left the building, alien reporters surrounded them, shouting questions. "Ambassador, are humans declaring war? Is this the end of the peace summit? Do you regret walking out?" Ilara paused for only a moment. Regret? She said quietly. Only that we believed they were ready to listen. Then she entered her shuttle and the doors closed behind her. From orbit, the scene was breathtaking. The human fleet, over 100 ships, waited in perfect formation above Verelion Prime. Their hulls gleamed white and blue under the twin suns. The flagship, Sol's Promise, hung at the center, a massive vessel shaped like a star's wing. Inside its command bridge, Captain Ren Calder watched the diplomatic feeds in silence. When the message from Ilara arrived, it was only 2 words long. Protocol Dawn. Ren read it twice, his jaw tightening. Around him, the bridge crew grew still. Everyone knew what it meant. Protocol Dawn was not a military order. It was something older. A plan created long ago in case diplomacy ever failed completely. Ren stood and turned toward his officers. Prepare the fleet for silent return, he said. Activate Horizon Gate 1. Yes, Captain, replied the helmsman. Moments later, beams of golden light linked every human ship. The fleet shimmered like a constellation reborn. Then, without a sound, they vanished, slipping into faster-than-light travel, leaving only a ripple in space. Down on Verelion Prime, alien delegates rushed to the viewing platforms, watching in awe. Some were confused, others fearful. The sky above them was empty now, as if the humans had never been there. They are leaving, whispered the Siraxi leader. Foolish humans. They will learn that isolation brings weakness. But deep inside, none of them felt certain. Something about the human silence unsettled them. It was not anger. It was purpose. In the days that followed, the story of humanity's walkout spread across every world. News screens showed Ilara Wynn's final words again and again. Some called her brave. Others said she had doomed her people. The Galactic Council issued a statement saying that peace would continue, with or without humans. But in truth, something had changed. Without human mediators, discussions grew colder. Accusations turned sharper. The summit, once filled with hope, now felt hollow. Even the air of Verelion Prime seemed darker. In a private chamber, the Grand Speaker of the Council asked quietly, "Did we make a mistake?" No one answered. Far away in the quiet darkness of deep space, the human fleet traveled toward the Sol system. Inside her cabin aboard Sol's Promise, Ambassador Wynn looked out at the stars. Her reflection stared back at her from the glass, eyes calm but heavy with thought. A younger officer entered. "Ma'am," he said softly, "do you think they'll understand one day?" Ilara smiled faintly. "They will when the stars tremble." The officer frowned, unsure what she meant. But Ilara only turned back toward the window, watching the endless night. Beyond her ship, thousands of points of light glowed. Human colonies, human ships, human dreams scattered across the galaxy. They were small compared to the great empires, but together they burned brighter than ever before. And somewhere in the distance, a quiet hum began to rise, the sound of something vast awakening. Deep beneath the surface of the stars, humanity had left the peace talks, but their story was far from over. After the humans left Verelion Prime, the galaxy fell into confusion. No one had expected them to walk out. No one had thought they would leave so quietly. The peace summit continued for 2 more days, but the energy in the room was gone. Without the humans, the long debates felt meaningless. The Siraxi argued with the Thal. The Velen tried to calm everyone, but failed. Every decision ended in more disagreement. The humans had been the balance, the species that somehow kept the others talking. Now that balance was gone. Across the galaxy, news networks broadcast the same image again and again. Ambassador Ilara Wynn walking out of the council chamber, her calm face under the cold blue lights. Some called her a symbol of pride. Others called her dangerous. The popular Verelion channel repeated one headline, "Humans abandon peace. Do they plan for war?" For 3 long days, the galaxy held its breath, and in that silence, the humans said nothing. At the Galactic Council headquarters, meetings grew tense. The Grand Speaker tried to calm the situation. "We will invite them back," it said in its deep voice. "They will see reason." But the Siraxi delegate spread his feathered arms. "They have already made their decision. Let them go. The galaxy does not need the humans." The Velen envoy disagreed. "The humans built half of our medical systems. They created the shared translation net. We owe them respect. The room filled with more noise, more argument, just as before. But now something else filled the silence between their words. Fear. Because no one truly understood what humans would do next. On a quiet research station near the edge of known space, a Siraxi scientist named Dr. Liren watched the communication networks. Her screens showed one human signal after another disappearing. Strange, she whispered to her assistant. All human colonies have gone dark. Dark? The assistant asked. Yes, their transmissions are ending in silence. No more trade data, no more navigation signals. The assistant frowned. Maybe they are hiding? Dr. Liren shook her head. No, this is coordination. Every human outpost is going quiet at the same time. It's planned. She sent a report to the Galactic Council, but no one replied. In the Thal Empire, the golden-eyed rulers laughed when they heard about the human silence. They are afraid, said one of the generals. They run back to their small worlds. But the Emperor, an old Thal with deep scars on his scales, stayed quiet. He remembered the humans from a war long ago, when the Thal tried to take a human mining colony. He had seen how fast they rebuilt, how united they became when threatened. They do not run, the Emperor said softly. They prepare. No one understood what he meant. Meanwhile, on the human world of New Avalon, ships landed in silence. Families packed their things, leaving cities that were once full of light. Entire continents emptied as people boarded large vessels that rose toward orbit. In the skies above, massive carriers waited, not for battle, but for transport. The humans were moving their people from the outer colonies back toward the center. Children asked their parents, "Why are we leaving?" Their parents replied gently, "Because something new is beginning." The news showed no fear, no panic, only calm faces and quiet movements. The humans were not running away. They were preparing. From orbit, Earth shone like a blue gem surrounded by silver lights. Thousands of ships came and went from its orbiting docks. Each carried cargo, food, machines, and strange glowing materials that no one had seen before. Inside one of the Earth command stations, a group of admirals stood around a holographic table. At the center was a bright image of the Milky Way. Red lines marked human colonies, but now those lines began to fade one by one, replaced by golden lights forming a circle around human space. Admiral Ren Calder stood beside Ambassador Ilara Wynn. "The outer worlds are clear," he reported. "All remaining ships are inside the secure border." Ilara nodded. "Good. Begin the next phase." Ren hesitated. "Do you think they'll understand what we're doing?" Ilara looked at the glowing galaxy before her. "They don't have to understand yet. They only have to see it." Her words carried a quiet strength, the kind of certainty that came from pain and wisdom combined. Back on Verelian Prime, the alien leaders were beginning to notice the pattern. Their data analysts confirmed that every human trading post had stopped contact. Every shared project had gone offline. Human ambassadors on foreign worlds had returned home. The galaxy, for the first time in centuries, felt smaller without them. One alien reporter said during a live broadcast, "The humans are retreating from everything. They are isolating themselves." "But why?" An expert replied, "Perhaps they are tired of being ignored. Perhaps they have finally chosen to protect only themselves." But no one guessed the truth, that the humans were not hiding. They were building. A week later, strange signals began to appear in the outer edges of space. They were faint, rhythmic, and unlike anything the Council had seen. Scientists detected massive energy pulses coming from the Sol system, but the readings made no sense. The energy was too clean, too balanced, almost as if it came from an artificial sun. Dr. Liren, the Siraxi scientist, stayed up for nights studying the signals. "This isn't a weapon," she whispered to herself. "It's something else, something larger." Her assistant asked, "Should we warn the Council?" Dr. Liren shook her head. "They won't listen. They think humans are dangerous. But I think they're trying to protect us all." Meanwhile, the Galactic Media Council gathered to discuss the human silence. A hollow image of Ilara Wynn appeared on their main screen, her speech at the Peace Summit. "If peace means surrendering what makes us human, then peace has no meaning." The room fell silent. The message that once sounded proud now felt sad. Some of the journalists realized that maybe humanity had not left out of arrogance but out of disappointment. Still, no one knew what they were planning. Rumors spread. Some said humans were leaving the galaxy. Others believed they were preparing a great weapon. Across the stars, curiosity turned into anxiety. In the Thal Empire's capital, the Emperor looked toward the night sky. "The humans are quiet," he said. "Too quiet. And when they are quiet, something is coming." He ordered his fleet to stay alert but not to attack. He remembered the human phrase he once heard from a soldier long ago. "Before the storm, there is silence." Those words stayed in his mind. Inside a hidden facility under the moon, human engineers worked tirelessly. Great machines hummed, connecting light to light, star to star. A vast network was forming, invisible to others but glowing in their sensors. Project Horizon had begun. Thousands of satellites, energy generators, and gravity anchors were being placed at the edge of human territory. Together they would form something no one had ever seen before. A shield made of energy and light, large enough to protect every human world. One young technician looked up from her console. "It feels like we're building a wall," she said. Ilara, who was watching from the command balcony, replied, "Not a wall. A sunrise." Her words carried through the room like a promise. Back in the council chambers of Prime, another emergency meeting began. The lights flickered as reports poured in about missing human ships, strange space activity, and fading communication lines. The Siraxi delegate shouted, "They are preparing for war. We must act now." The Velen envoy replied, "Do not mistake silence for aggression." The Grand Speaker tried to calm them all, but the fear was growing faster than reason. Finally, the Speaker declared, "Until humans explain their actions, we will place all trade and travel with them on hold." The message was sent across the stars, but humanity did not respond. The humans continued their work in silence, building something vast and bright while the rest of the galaxy argued among themselves. On Earth, the night sky looked peaceful. Children played under the stars, unaware that their world was changing forever. Ilara Wynn stood on a balcony overlooking the sea, the reflection of the moon on the waves glowing softly. Captain Wren approached. "Everything's ready," he said. "We're waiting for your final word." Ilara looked up at the stars, at the endless dark filled with lights that were both near and far. "They think we left because we were angry," she said quietly. "But we left because we still believe in peace. We just need to build it in our own way." Wren nodded. "And if they come looking for us?" Ilara smiled faintly. "Then they will see what peace really means." Behind her, the horizon began to glow with golden light, the first pulse of Project Horizon spreading through the void. The silence of humanity was almost over. The storm was about to begin, not a storm of war, but of change. The galaxy had grown used to the silence of humans. Weeks passed since the Peace Summit ended, and still no message came from Earth or any human world. The news networks had grown tired of guessing. Some said humans had isolated themselves forever. Others believed they were hiding from shame. But one quiet morning, the stars themselves began to change. It started with the Watchers, astronomers, scientists, and explorers who spent their lives studying the movements of the galaxies. They began to notice strange patterns. Stars near human space flickered for seconds at a time, then returned to normal. Massive energy spikes appeared on their sensors. But the readings were stable, not violent. Dr. Liren, the Siraxi scientist who had been tracking human signals since the summit, woke to dozens of alerts flashing across her screen. Her assistant ran into the room. "Doctor, it's happening again. Hundreds of readings all at once." Liren leaned over the glowing table, eyes wide. "This is not a malfunction," she whispered. "They're activating something. What could create that much power?" Liren hesitated. "Only a network of artificial suns. Or something even greater." Her voice trembled with both fear and awe. Across the galaxy, observatories turned their lenses toward human territory. They saw lines of light forming patterns among the stars, hundreds of points connecting like a great constellation. Each line pulsed with golden brightness, forming circles that expanded slowly. To the untrained eye, it looked like a field of small stars. But to scientists, it was clear. These lights were moving with purpose. The Galactic Council called an emergency meeting. The grand speaker appeared as a shining orb above the table. "We have received reports from 23 sectors," it announced. "Something is happening within human borders." Explain these readings, no one had answers. The Siraxi called it a weapon. The Thal said it was a trap. The Vilain called it a song of creation. Ambassador Rin of the Vilain stood and said softly, "Humans always dreamed bigger than the rest of us. Maybe they are building something beautiful, not dangerous." But the Thal delegate slammed his scaled hand on the table. "Beautiful? They build without permission. They hide their plans. What if this light burns through our systems?" The council chamber filled with argument once again, the same endless noise humanity had once left behind. Meanwhile, deep inside the Sol system, Earth was glowing brighter than ever before. Around the planet, thousands of stations and ships worked in perfect rhythm. The Project Horizon network was nearly complete. Massive energy cores floated in orbit, linked together by beams of golden light. The sight from space was breathtaking, a web of light surrounding Earth like a halo. In the main command center, Ambassador Ilara Wynn stood beside Captain Ren Calder. Engineers and scientists filled the room, their eyes fixed on the central screen. "Status?" Ilara asked. "All anchor points connected," replied an officer. "Energy flow is stable. We're ready for final synchronization." Ilara took a slow breath. "Then begin." The command was sent across every human ship and station. Within seconds, hundreds of reactors ignited together. The golden light spread outward, racing from one anchor to another, connecting every planet, moon, and colony. It looked like sunlight blooming in the darkness of space. In distant observatories, aliens gasped as the light spread across their screens. "It's expanding," shouted one. "The human's creation is covering entire systems." But the strange part was that there was no destruction, no shockwaves, no radiation bursts. The energy was perfectly balanced, calm like the surface of a quiet sea. As the golden network spread, a signal was transmitted on every open frequency. The message was simple, clear, and carried the voice of humanity. "To all civilizations, do not fear. This is not war, this is protection. We will no longer ask for peace. We will build it ourselves." The words were repeated in every known language of the galaxy. Even those who had mocked humans at the summit stood in silence as the message echoed through their systems. On the Thal homeworld, the Emperor watched the sky. A golden shimmer now surrounded the edge of space, visible even from the ground. He remembered the old wars, the pain, and how humans had always fought to protect others, even those who called them weak. "They do not destroy," the Emperor said softly. "They shield. They build walls of light, not walls of war." His advisors looked uneasy. "Should we stop them, sire?" The Emperor shook his head. "No, let them finish. The galaxy has never seen such unity. Perhaps we can learn from them." But not all agreed. In another part of space, some commanders believed the human's creation was a threat. Fleets began to move, small groups of warships heading toward human borders to investigate. They did not fire, but their intentions were clear: to test the barrier. When the first alien scout ship reached the edge of human space, its sensors detected something extraordinary. The barrier, the horizon field, looked like a golden mist, endless and glowing, stretching across millions of kilometers. The ship moved closer. "Activate scanners," said the alien captain. As they approached, the light pulsed gently. Then the ship's computer displayed strange readings. "No radiation, no heat, no weapon signature. Can we pass through?" the captain asked. The navigator tried, pushing the ship closer. But the moment the ship touched the light, it stopped. Not from impact, but from something unseen. The energy field surrounded the vessel, holding it still. Then through the speakers, a calm voice spoke. "Do not harm. Do not enter." The voice was human, gentle but firm. The crew stared at each other, speechless. The field then released the ship, letting it drift backward unharmed. The captain whispered, "It's not a weapon. It's a guardian." The scout ship turned back and sent its report. Across the galaxy, the story spread. The humans had built a shield around their entire territory. No empire had ever done such a thing. It was beyond imagination. Back on Earth, Ambassador Ilara stood before a large viewing window. The light of the barrier reflected in her eyes. Children on the planet below pointed at the sky, calling it the Golden Ring. People across human worlds felt a deep sense of pride. For the first time in history, humanity had no need for warships or armies to protect themselves. The horizon field did it all, silently, beautifully. Captain Wren Calder approached her. "It's done. The network is complete. All systems stable." Alara nodded. "Then humanity is safe. For now." Wren looked uneasy. "Do you think they'll see this as peace?" Alara's voice was soft. "They will one day. But for now they will see it as power. That's what they fear most. Peace that doesn't ask for permission." In the Galactic Council, confusion turned to astonishment. Reports confirmed that the barrier emitted no harm. It didn't block light, didn't affect nearby planets. It simply acted as a wall between human space and the rest of the galaxy. The Grand Speaker floated above the council table, glowing brighter than ever. "This is without precedent," it said. "They have withdrawn but not attacked. They have built a peace that needs no council." For the first time in centuries, the council chamber fell completely silent. The Siraxi delegate finally spoke. "We laughed at them. We called them dreamers. Now the dreamers have built something we cannot even understand." The Velan envoy added softly, "Perhaps peace is not spoken in words. Perhaps it shines." Outside the windows of the council tower, the golden light could now be seen faintly across the sky. It was beautiful, like a sunrise at the edge of the stars. On her ship, Sol's Promise, Alara Wynn recorded her final report. Her voice was calm, filled with quiet emotion. "The horizon field is active. All human territories are protected. We will not close our doors forever, but for now we must heal. Let them argue while we build. Let them fear while we grow. Peace is not given. It is made." She paused for a long moment, looking out into the light. "If the galaxy trembles, let it be from wonder, not war." She ended the recording and walked toward the observation deck, where crews celebrated quietly. No cheers, no noise, only the soft hum of success. The humans had achieved something no empire could imagine. Peace through strength, and strength through unity. Far away, in the cold darkness beyond the barrier, the galaxy watched in silence. For the first time in ages, the stars themselves seemed to glow differently. The humans had changed the galaxy, not with weapons, not with threats, but with light. And as the barrier pulsed gently like a heartbeat across the void, every race realized one truth. The humans had left the table, but they had not left the galaxy. They had simply risen above it. Weeks turned into months. The golden glow of the horizon field around human space continued to shine like a beacon in the darkness. Ships from other civilizations cautiously approached its edges, only to be held back by its gentle, unyielding force. No one could pass without permission. The Galactic Council held daily meetings trying to understand humanity's sudden withdrawal. Debate filled the chambers, but now it carried a new tone: worry. Without humans mediating conflicts, old rivalries flared again. Trade disputes became wars of words, and small skirmishes threatened to escalate across multiple sectors. Dr. Lyran, the Siraxi scientist who had been observing Project Horizon from the beginning, watched reports from the edges of human territory. She shook her head. "We underestimated them," she whispered to her assistant. "We thought they were new, inexperienced. But they are patient. They know what the galaxy cannot see yet." Her assistant frowned. "Do you mean—" "They are waiting." "Yes," Lyran said, "but not for us. They are waiting for the right moment. They are waiting for the galaxy to see the consequences of leaving them behind." Back on Varelian Prime, the once bustling trade stations began to falter. Without human supplies and technology, entire sectors faced shortages. Some alien cities ran out of energy, while others struggled to maintain communications. The Council attempted to step in, but every effort only highlighted how reliant many worlds had become on humans. Supplies that humans had freely shared were now impossible to replace. Medicines, clean energy cores, even the simplest transportation networks began to fail. In the council chamber, arguments grew heated. The Thal delegate slammed his clawed hands on the table. "We mocked them. We laughed at their dreams. And now look at this chaos." The Velen envoy spoke softly, almost sadly. "Perhaps we took them for granted. We never realized how much the galaxy relied on their vision and care." A younger Siraxi delegate whispered to a colleague. They walked away, and suddenly the galaxy is falling apart. "I never thought I'd see this." The realization spread across every sector. Humans were not just another race. They were the glue that had held countless civilizations together. Inside the Golden Barrier, humanity continued its work in quiet harmony. Cities thrived on clean energy. Transportation moved faster than ever, and scientists discovered new ways to heal illnesses that had plagued their worlds for centuries. Children grew up hearing the story of the Virelian Summit, the moment their ambassador had chosen principle over approval. They learned that humanity's greatest strength was unity, even in the face of disbelief. In schools, teachers told young students, "The galaxy may not understand you. Some will mock, some will fear, but your choices must always reflect who you are, not what others demand." Meanwhile, adults worked tirelessly to strengthen the horizon field, ensuring that every colony, no matter how remote, was connected. Even those farthest from Earth could sense the golden glow from the network, a silent promise that humanity would protect itself, and by extension, the peace of the galaxy. Beyond human space, the galaxy's leaders grew desperate. Trade routes collapsed. Without human assistance, many colonies lacked essential goods. Entire sectors began to experience famine, and small conflicts that humans had once mediated now grew larger. The Grand Speaker, once confident in the Council's power, floated silently above the chamber table. "We underestimated them," it admitted. "We did not see how central humans were to the stability of the galaxy." From the Virelian channel, a reporter broadcast live, "In a single act, humanity has reminded the galaxy that their absence is felt everywhere. We argued and mocked, and now we are paying the price." The camera panned over empty trade hubs, silent communication arrays, and quiet starports, a galaxy that felt oddly hollow without humans. Meanwhile, in secret observatories on distant planets, scientists continued to study the horizon field. They marveled at its perfection. "It is impossible," said one. "No energy leakage, no harmful radiation. It is like it is alive." Another shook his head. "It is not a weapon. It does not attack. It protects," the first scientist frowned. "And yet the galaxy fears it." "That is the power humans hold, and not through destruction but through care and order. The galaxy has never known a species like this before." In the Thal Empire, the Emperor finally spoke to his advisors in private. "They are not enemies," he said, his golden eyes reflecting the light of distant stars. "They are not conquerors. They are teachers. Look at what has happened. The galaxy struggles without them. We mocked them, yet now we realize we are weaker because of our doubt." An advisor hesitated. "Sire, are you saying we should ask them for help?" The Emperor nodded slowly. "Yes, but not as rulers, as equals. We have learned that no empire can thrive without understanding the value of others. Humanity has taught us this lesson, whether we wish to accept it or not." Within human space, Ambassador Alara Wynn met with scientists, engineers, and planetary leaders. "Observe the galaxy," she said quietly. "They see the glow of our work and they misunderstand it. They think power comes from fear. They are learning that true strength is the ability to care for all." Captain Ren Calder frowned. "Some of them may not survive the lessons. They are too proud to admit it." Ilara smiled faintly. "Then they will learn the hard way. But we will be ready to help when they are willing." Her gaze turned toward the edge of the horizon field. Beyond it, alien fleets had begun cautious observation missions, some desperate, some afraid, and some curious. "They watch," she said, "and we wait, not for war, but for understanding." The galaxy slowly began to feel the consequences of humanity's absence. Trade disputes escalated into small battles between minor fleets. Without human engineers maintaining interstellar networks, navigation routes became dangerous. Supplies of food and medicine dwindled on planets far from their own systems. Even cultural exchanges faltered. Festivals that had once been shared across multiple sectors disappeared. The voices of humans, once a constant in diplomatic conversations, were now replaced by silence. In one quiet sector, a Virelian historian whispered to a student, "Do you understand why they left?" The student shook their head. "They wanted peace, but we didn't listen." The historian nodded. "Yes, they gave us peace, then left us to understand its value, and now we tremble without them." As months passed, the horizon field became more than just a shield. It became a symbol. Ships that approached it and saw the golden glow often paused in awe. Children across alien worlds heard stories about the humans, how they left the peace talks, built something beautiful, and showed the galaxy what it meant to be united. In their absence, humans were becoming legends. Dr. Lyran recorded her observations for the Galactic Council. I once thought they were impulsive, young, inexperienced. But I see now, humans are patient. They build not to dominate, but to protect. And when they walk away, it is not out of anger. It is to teach us a lesson we cannot learn through words alone. Meanwhile, on Earth and other human colonies, life went on quietly. Farmers tended fields, engineers maintained machines, and children laughed freely under skies glowing with golden light. Humanity was not idle. It was building a better future, even as the rest of the galaxy struggled to survive without its guidance. Ilara Wynn watched from a balcony on New Avalon. She saw ships moving, energy pulsing along the horizon field, and communities thriving in harmony. Captain Wren Calder joined her. Do you think they'll ever come to understand us? Ilara's gaze turned to the stars. They will. They will see that peace is not a gift given by the powerful. It is created by those willing to care for everyone, even when no one is watching. That is the lesson they will learn, eventually. In the darkest reaches of space, fleets from multiple empires approached cautiously, hoping to test the barrier. Each ship was held at the edge, unable to cross. They received the human message, do not harm, do not enter. Some turned back immediately. Others hesitated, afraid of violating the unknown. And all of them in some way understood. Humans were not the same as any other race. They had achieved something extraordinary. For the first time, the galaxy realized that the humans' absence was felt far more deeply than their presence had ever been. As the light of the horizon field spread across the void, the galaxy trembled, not from fear but from awe. And somewhere on Earth, Ambassador Wynn spoke quietly to Captain Wren. They are learning, slowly but surely. The galaxy will understand the true value of humanity, not because we forced it upon them, but because they will feel it themselves. Wren nodded. And when they do? Ilara smiled faintly. Then the universe will finally be ready for peace. The galaxy had changed. Months had passed since humanity left the Peace Summit. The horizon field glowed like a golden ring around human space, a silent reminder of their power and unity. Systems once dependent on humans now struggled to survive. Supply lines failed, communications faltered, and even minor conflicts escalated without their mediation. Every empire began to feel a subtle tremor of unease. Trade networks that had seemed endless now collapsed in confusion. Entire planets experienced shortages. Without humans, the galaxy was beginning to see the consequences of taking their presence for granted. Yet inside the horizon field, humanity worked in harmony. Cities glowed with clean energy, fleets moved gracefully across space, and colonies that had once seemed isolated thrived under the protection of the Golden Shield. Life went on peacefully without chaos or fear. On New Avalon, children played beneath the twin moons, unaware of the tension in the galaxy beyond the horizon field. Adults watched over their communities, maintaining networks of energy and communication. And above them all, the human fleet floated silently, a constellation of calm strength in the dark void. On the Thal homeworld, the Emperor observed the golden glow from his palace. He had sent emissaries to observe the humans, but they returned with only awe and confusion. They are not weapons, said one advisor. They do not attack. They shield, the Emperor nodded. They have shown us that power is not about domination. It is about care, about protection, and they have done it without ever raising a hand in anger. But he also knew the lesson of absence. The galaxy struggles without them. We mocked them. We feared them. And now we realize how much we relied on their wisdom. Perhaps it is time to seek their guidance, not as rulers, but as equals. Meanwhile, in distant sectors, fleets from multiple empires gathered at the edge of the horizon field. Scientists and commanders alike tried to understand its nature. Every attempt to penetrate the Golden Shield failed. Every attempt to measure it revealed something extraordinary. The field was alive in its precision, yet completely peaceful. A young Siraxi officer recorded a report. It does not harm. It does not destroy. It simply protects everything within. We cannot comprehend this technology. We can only observe its beauty. The report went viral across the galaxy. Messages of fear were replaced by awe. Even those who had once mocked humans now wondered, what kind of species can create this? And somewhere in the dark expanse beyond the shield, alien leaders began to feel something new. Respect. Inside Saul's promise, Ambassador Alara Wynn stood on the observation deck. Looking out at the network of ships and golden light, Captain Ren Calder joined her, his eyes reflecting the glow of the horizon field. "They are watching us," Ren said. "The Empire's at the edge of the shield. Some are afraid, some are curious." Ilara nodded. "Let them watch. Let them feel the calm we create. That is the power they fear most, with peace that does not need war." Ren smiled faintly. "And when they finally understand? They will return," Ilara said softly. "When they see that the universe is stronger with humanity than without it, they will return, and we will be ready." The first message came from the Virelian Council. It was short and formal. "Humanity, the Galaxy requests dialogue. We wish to understand your actions and intentions." Ilara read the message carefully. She turned to her officers. "Prepare the fleet. We leave for the first time beyond the horizon field. We go not to conquer, but to protect." The fleet responded in perfect formation, engines glowing gently as they prepared to cross the invisible border. Ships that had once carried civilians and merchants now carried aid, medicine, and supplies for planets that had suffered in humanity's absence. It was not an army. It was a lifeline. As human ships passed through the edge of the horizon field, alien fleets watched in astonishment. The humans carried no weapons raised, no threat spoken. Instead, they brought aid, food for starving planets, medical supplies for those suffering, and technology to repair the collapsed trade networks. Ambassador Ilara Wynn's voice echoed across every communication channel. "We left because the galaxy needed to understand the value of peace. We return not to demand obedience, but to offer guidance, protection, and hope. The lesson is not in fear, it is in care." The galaxy listened. Slowly, disbelief turned into gratitude. Slowly, fear turned into admiration. Slowly, even the most stubborn rulers realized that humans had never left to punish them. They had left to teach the galaxy what it meant to build something greater than themselves. On a small, war-torn planet, children looked up at the sky as the first human ships arrived. Their cities had been damaged, their families struggling. Yet when humans landed and began distributing supplies, the people felt something they had never known before: safety. A young child whispered to her friend, "They are helping us, and they didn't even fight anyone." Her friend nodded, eyes wide. "I think humans are heroes." Across thousands of worlds, similar scenes unfolded. Human aid fleets moving silently yet purposefully reminded the galaxy why this young species was unlike any other. At the Galactic Council, representatives gathered to witness the return of humanity. For the first time in history, the Siraxi, Thal, Valen, and other races stood together, not to argue, not to compete, but to watch in awe. The Grand Speaker floated above the chamber. "The humans have returned," it announced. "They carry not weapons, but the power of protection. They have shown us what we could not see before. That strength is measured by what you safeguard, not what you destroy." A Thal commander added, "We laughed at them. We doubted them. Yet here they are, reminding us that the galaxy is stronger when we act with unity and care." The Violan envoy nodded. "Perhaps it is time we follow their example." The horizon field, now fully visible across the galaxy, pulsed gently as the humans moved outward. Ships from alien civilizations approached cautiously, and yet the humans welcomed them. They offered supplies, repairs, and guidance to those willing to accept it. The message was clear. Humanity did not seek dominance. Humanity did not seek revenge. Humanity sought to build a galaxy capable of lasting peace, where no species needed to fear another. Ambassador Wynn addressed the council through every available channel. "We walked away because words had lost meaning. But hope never does. We returned to remind the galaxy that unity is stronger than division, that care is stronger than conflict, and that the future belongs to those who choose to protect, not destroy." Her words echoed across the stars. In the Thal Empire, the Emperor observed his fleets cooperating with humans for the first time in decades. Trade routes reopened. Supplies reached starving colonies and peace talks resumed, this time guided by human wisdom and calm. A young Thal officer whispered, "I never believed humans could teach us anything. But now I see the truth," the Emperor smiled faintly. "They have taught the universe the greatest lesson. When humans walk away, it is not to abandon. It is to show the way forward. Across the galaxy, the story spread rapidly. Children, scholars, and leaders alike told tales of humanity's calm strength, their courage and principle, and their ability to protect without threat. Humans were no longer just another species. They had become icons of hope, guardians of the galaxy, and teachers of true strength. The very stars seemed to tremble, not with fear, but with wonder. The galaxy understood at last what it had ignored for so long, that humanity's value was far greater than any empire, any weapon, or any council could ever measure. Back on Earth, Ambassador Ilara Wynn watched the first alien ships dock in human ports, not as enemies but as partners. Captain Ren Calder stood beside her, smiling faintly. "They finally understand," he said. Ilara nodded. "Yes, and they will never forget it. Humanity has shown them what peace looks like, not as a wish but as a creation. And now the galaxy will tremble, not from war, but from awe." In the skies above human worlds, the horizon field glowed softly, a golden halo visible from every planet. Ships moved within it, carrying supplies, knowledge, and hope to the galaxy beyond. And from that day forward, every civilization remembered the lesson humanity had taught them. When humans walk away, it is not defeat. It is the calm before creation. When humans return, it is not conquest. It is the dawn of a stronger, united galaxy. The stars trembled. Indeed, much but in wonder, respect, and gratitude, and humanity. Calm yet powerful stood ready, not as rulers, not as conquerors, but as guardians of the future.